Welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast, brought to you by tournamentpokeredge.com, the only podcast dedicated exclusively to poker tournament strategy. Now here's your host, Clayton Fletcher.
Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast. My name is Clayton Fletcher, and I am your host here in safe, socialist New York City. Happy to be bringing you yet another episode of the world's longest running poker strategy podcast ever. Yeah, guys, I'm back from Florida. I'm back from the cruise. I'm all tan. And as soon as I come home, it's freezing cold here. That's okay. That's what normally happens in November in New York. There's been a lot of talk lately on Twitter about starting poker tournaments earlier. I believe this whole thing was started by Seth Davies, a high-stakes reg. And then, of course, Jason Kuhn chimed in that he agreed. And then another health nut, Martin Jacobson, my friend that I met at the Venetian Las Vegas this summer, absolutely concurred with the idea that tournaments should start earlier and end earlier so that we can all get a good night's sleep. And it's just such a departure from the poker that I remember from 20 years ago when I first started getting really actively involved in casino tournaments. It's just, people used to complain that it was too early. I remember not even that long ago, after Joe McKeon won the main event, he said that we were slaves when they moved the start time from 12 o'clock to 11 o'clock. And now players are saying they want tournaments to start at 9 or 10 o'clock. But the funny thing is, most of you guys don't even show up for the first 2 or 3 hours. So why would you even care what time it starts anyway? My 2 cents on this is that I don't mind being up late. I am a stand-up comedian after all. So it's no problem for me to be up at midnight or 1 a.m. I understand a health nut idea that we've got to be up early and go to bed early, and we're supposed to align our body, mind, and spirit with the sunrise and sunset and all of that. People want shorter days that start early and end early so they can still go out for dinner or do their workout or whatever they want to do. Look, there's no way to please everyone, but I never thought that I would live to see the day when poker players want to get out of bed early and go to work right away. I don't mind if you want to wake up early, go to the gym in the morning, go take a walk on the Vegas Strip, whatever you want to do before you actually clock in and start playing cards. But this idea that we should all have to get up early is, if nothing else, a sign of the times. Poker players are not the degenerate all-night gamble-holics they used to be. Many of us are now much more body conscious and health conscious, and can't even imagine a world where poker was played in a smoky casino. Players were literally smoking at the table 30 years ago, and now we're talking about starting at 9 a.m. How far we have come. Anyway, I want to know what you guys think about this. What are your thoughts? You can hit me up on Twitter at claytoncomic. You can also just leave your remarks in the TPE Discord, and there's a link to that in the description. Another big thing that happened this week is my friend Jennifer Shahade, who is a PokerStars ambassador, actually finished in 3rd place in the NAPT main event and won something like $291,000. So it couldn't happen to a better person. Jen is one of my all-time favorite people in this game, and she's great at chess. She's great at poker. She's winning at life, and she deserves it. I'm very happy for Jennifer for making that final table. And I'm hoping to make a final table or two myself next month in fabulous Las Vegas, where I will be at the Wynn for the WPT Championship Series. Turns out I will not actually be able to play in the main event due to a comedy conflict, but I'm going to really focus on that WPT Prime, maybe try to jump in on a mystery bounty or two, and really try to finish out the year on a high note. All right, well, let's look at some of the hands we talked about last week. Last week was very strategy heavy, some short hands that didn't go past the flop we discussed. And this time I want to look at those same hands again using GTO Wizard, which is my favorite tool for analyzing and improving my poker game. Once again, this comes from a $109 mystery bounty event played online, and the blinds for this hand are 1,400, 2,800 with a 700 big blind ante, and the action folds all the way around to the small blind, who has 22 big blinds and completes for 1,400 more. I was in the big blind holding the 6 of clubs, 5 of clubs, and I decided to check. And I remember commenting on last week's episode that I didn't see any reason to put a hand like this into my pre-flop raising range. And I was pretty confident about that, but what a surprise. I was wrong again. The wizard does check 63% of the time, but we're actually supposed to raise with this hand around 37% of the time. And we also raising with a very wide range. Actually, 35% of all hands are supposed to raise facing this limp from the small blind. And that range does include other suited connectors like 5-4 suited and 6-4 suited, but never with 8-7 or 7-6 suited, which is odd. The wizard also raises with quite a bit of junk, like the 6 deuce suited, the 10 deuce off. So because we are literally showing up with 100% of hands, and because we want to be able to raise all the time with our aces, kings, queens, jacks, ace 10, ace 9, king 9 combos, we also want to be polarized and balanced. So we're raising with mostly the very best and very worst hands. Even 7 deuce, 6 deuce, jack deuce, these are hands that we are raising. And then most of those middling hands, we're just going to check and see a flop. That's your jack 9 suited, your queen 10 suited, and hands like that. So we need to be very, very polarized and very balanced. So that's the raising range, but we just checked and we saw the flop of 7 tray deuce with 1 club and 2 diamonds. And now the villain leads right into us, betting 2,800 into the pot of 8,400. And I decided to raise it up to 13.3K, and the villain folds. Now the wizard actually wants to flat this 78.5% of the time and then raise to either 3 big blinds or 5 big blinds the rest of the time. So that was interesting to me because I just felt like my solver work had actually revealed quite a bit of raising with these kind of 3 to a straight flush type of hands, simply because we can have so many good things happen on the turn that would allow us to continue with the bluff. But yeah, in this spot, it's actually a 78.5% flat, but raising is solver approved. And in this case, it worked and your boy took it down. Let's look at the next hand. We got moved to a new table at the same blind level, and this time at a 6-handed table. The button raised it, the minimum 5,600, and I was in the big blind with 35 big blinds and the 5-5, so pocket fives, and I decided to 3-bet. I think I said last week that it would be okay with me if you sometimes checked to see a flop. You didn't want to waste your pocket fives knowing that your 3-bet is probably going to take it down too much. But guys, I'm here to tell you, the wizard never ever flats. It's either 3-betting like we did 44% of the time, or the number one play is actually a shove for the whole 35 bigs. Just stick it all in with your fives, and that's the end of it. So yeah, I didn't really consider shoving. I don't really find a lot of these big overbet, 3-bet shoves pre-flop very much. It's a hole in my game that I'm trying to plug, but it's kind of slow because it just doesn't feel right putting in that many chips to win a pot that's not even that big yet. But yeah, that's what Wizard wants to do. Most of the time, GTO Wizard shoves 56%, and that's it. So let's look at the third hand from last week. And by the way, guys, if you want to get cracking and using this tool to improve your game, I've got a great deal for you. You can save 10% off your first purchase by just using our affiliate link, which is gtowizard.com/P claytoncomic.com/TPE. I know you guys are going to love this tool. You can study, you can practice, you can play heads up against people you know or even people you don't know. And there are like leaderboards and awards and real-time coaching from the wizard to tell you what you're doing wrong in an infinite number of heads up spots. It's really great. So check that out, guys. You get 24 hours of free trial, by the way. It's gtowizard.com/P/TPE. All right, let's take a look at the third hand from last week's strategy segment. Registration is closed. We're 90 bust outs from the money. The blinds are 10K and 20K with a 2,500 ante per player. The average stack was 527K and we had 695, right in that 35 big blind range. The action folded to the hijack and he says 45K off of a stack of 670. So right about where we were. The cutoff folded and I'm on the button holding the ace of clubs, 5 of clubs, my all-time favorite starting hand. And I decided to 3-bet. I made it 135 and the blinds folded and the original raiser called. But let's look at my 3-bet because I thought that GTO Wizard was going to tell me, good job, Clayton. It's great to put that ace-5 suited into that 3-betting range pre-flop. But it turns out the wizard only 3-bets with this hand at this depth 7% of the time, and we're supposed to flat 93% of the time. So I can't exactly give myself a pat on the back because I'm 3-betting this at least 50, maybe 75% of the time. So if we're not supposed to 3-bet ace-5 suited, what is the range for 3-betting according to GTO Wizard? Well, obviously the premiums, aces, kings, queens, ace-king, obviously. But the solver also mixes in hands like queen 10 offsuit a good bit, ace-6 of spades more than half the time, ace-deuce of spades about half the time. And also king 9 suited gets a lot of 3-bet, ace-9 offsuit. So it's not that we don't want to have a rich and robust range for 3-betting facing a raise from a late position open. But GTO Wizard does not do this with ace-5 suited all that much. So villain called, and now with 320 in the middle, the flop comes queen of clubs, 10 of clubs, 9 of hearts. So queen 10-9 with 2 clubs, and villain just donk shoves like almost twice the pot. And I didn't know what to do because I hadn't really studied this spot with this huge overbet donk lead into the pre-flop raiser. And I just folded, but I wasn't really sure. And it turns out I had every reason to be uncertain about my decision because guess what? The wizard actually calls 100% of the time with my hand. Apparently, a lot of the donk shoving range does consist of weaker flush draws. And so that's what I was afraid of. Like if I fold, am I folding the better hand so often that it's worth it to call the overbet shove even at this point in the tournament? And the answer is yes. We're not supposed to fold the ace high flush draw even facing such a huge flop lead. All right, guys, I'm ready to do another hand from a different tournament. This one comes from a $215 100K played online. And once again, we're going to have the ace-5 of clubs. I don't know why these patterns keep happening. I'm not really choosing hands based on that. But lately we've had a lot of hands where the flop was the same as the week before. This time my starting cards are the same as the week before. I promise it's a pure coincidence. So anyway, in this hand, we are in the big blind. The blinds are 2,500 and 5K. And we've got 240,000 in the stack, so just under 50 times the big blind, doing quite well when the average stack was at 160K. And under the gun folds, and now the player in second position raises to 10K off of a stack of about 25K. So he's got about half of what we have. And the action folds all the way around to Clayton in the big blind, holding the ace of clubs, 5 of clubs. And now I considered 3-betting here, as I often do consider 3-betting with the ace-5 suited. But in this spot, I decided just to call the min raise and see a flop. And oh, sorry guys, I actually have the ace-5 of spades this time. So correction, hero with the ace-5 of spades. With 27,300 in the middle, the flop comes ace of clubs, 10 of clubs, 8 of diamonds. Ace 10, 8 with 2 clubs. Hero with the ace-5 of spades for top pair and a 5 kicker. So action's on me. We're not leading here. We're going to check. And villain goes pretty chunky here, betting 18,000 into the 27,000 pot. So 2/3 of the pot, which is a lot, especially when he's starting with only 25 big blinds in the first place. I decided to just call, maybe keep some bluffs in, maybe get a feel for what he's doing on the turn. So I make the call, and now with 63,000 in the middle, the turn comes the 4 of diamonds. So our board is now ace of clubs, 10 of clubs, 8 of diamonds, 4 of diamonds, hero with the ace-5 of spades, and I check once more. And villain bets pretty big again, guys. He puts in 31.6 into the 63K pot, just so right around half the pot right now, and I have another decision. Bear in mind that villain only leaves himself with 70K behind, and I wasn't really sure what I should do. I actually think maybe this is just a fold here. I really can't beat anything, and I have no draw if I am behind, so it might just be a fold because I don't want to have to face a shove on the river and have to call off again with ace-5. So maybe it's better just to give up on this one. I don't know. I don't often see the solver folding top pair. That's the problem. And I really didn't have a feel for this opponent because I had not been at this table for very long. I think I was in no man's land when I made the call and just decided to evaluate on the river. So I called, and now there's 126,000 in the middle, and the river comes the king of spades for a final board of ace of clubs, 10 of clubs, 8 of diamonds, 4 of diamonds, king of spades. And I checked for the last time, and villain only has about a 60% pot size bet. There's 126 in the middle. He's got 70K, and he sticks it in. And I hate it because I'm getting such a good price on a call, but I also can't beat anything. I'm getting 2.8 to 1 on a call. So my hand only needs to be good about 26-ish % of the time. And I don't know, is it? I mean, one thing I noticed is that Queen Jack, suited or not, has a double gut shot on the flop that gets there on this river to make the nuts. So that was one more thing to worry about. Also, villain has all the ace king, ace ace, 10-10, ace 10. So he's got a range advantage, but does he know that? And is he trying to take advantage of that advantage and blow me off of exactly the type of hand that I have? I don't know. I just didn't want to call it, guys. I knew that if I folded right now, I would still have a slightly above average stack. That should not factor into our decision-making process, but I would be lying if I would say that for me at this point in this tournament, the thought never crossed my mind. That's just not true. So yeah, I folded, and now I'm not sure. I guess if you call the turn, you kind of have to call the river. So maybe it's better to just fold the turn, or if I do call the turn, just pay off again on the river. I just think I'm going to be shown the bad news so very often, and I've seen it so many times in my poker career. They're just not bluffing here all that much. And that'll do it for this episode. Let me know what you guys think. Hit me up on Twitter or in the TPE Discord. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, gtowizard.com/p/TPE. And for everyone here at Tournament Poker Edge, I'm Clayton Fletcher. Thank you so much for listening.
I wanna hold them like they do in Texas Blade. Hold up, let up, hit me, raise it, baby, stay with me. Lucky